to not say Jai Hind. It's next to treason. Many people think being a Tamilan means you are not being a Hindu, you're not being an Indian. That is complete baloney.
We can have more than one face.
That declaration was called the Jambudvipa Declaration. The Sanskrit word Jambudvipa, which is nothing but the Akhanda Bharat.
Hasn't BJP had this view that it's a north party?
Elections, and it's very clearly written by Mapo Sivanyanam. They said, if you vote the Congress into power, you will have nothing but Brahmins sitting on your head.
But you cannot really erase the caste or what you are, right? So that is evident.
Who opposed Draupadi Murmu? Called Shivaji Krishnamurti spout absolute, unadulterated, unqualified filth from that hole in his face that we call the mouth. This is why doctors, decent people should come in.
Because of your medical background, can you give us a view into how bad this really is?
Manufactured to not kill, but to keep the chap within the thrall.
There's been a lot of misinterpretation, or it's being misled by the opposition.
That poor Kashmiri girl who at 8 is married to a 60-year-old who already has 3 wives.
Hello and welcome to Chanakya English. Today for our face-off interview, we have a special person who he's a good example for education in politics. If most of our viewers remember, our Tamil Nadu BJP president, Annamalaiji, recently in an IIT meet mentioned about needing educated people in politics. And I think today we have that person here to talk to us more in detail. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Nirmala. Great to be here in Chanakya English.
Thank you. And sir, so you've been with Lifeline Hospital, you're the chief surgeon there, and what brought you into politics?
So I think I've always been interested in serving people, and I've been doing that for the last 30-35 years. As a doctor, you can help one person, 2, maybe 100 a day. As a surgeon, you can help 5-6 families. But as a politician, you can help hundreds of thousands of families. Sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. And I've always been interested, but every time I mentioned politics, people used to say, oh my God, don't go there. It's a gutter. Everybody followed what George Bernard Shaw said. He said, politics is the last refuge of scoundrels. But we've had great doctors in politics, Nirmala. I'd like to tell the public too. If you look at B.C. Roy, began as a simple doctor, then he did his FRCS and his MRCP. Many years later, I did the same thing in the UK. And then he went on to become the Chief Minister of West Bengal. If you look at Dr. Hande in Tamil Nadu, he was one of the earliest MLCs. For 22 years he has sat in either assembly or as an MLC, the council or assembly. And not only that, he was one of MGR's favorites, and he was the health minister of our state. I mean, it's a classic example. At 96, 97, Dr. Hande is still a doctor, still seeing patients every day, and still a politician. You go abroad, probably the single greatest communist after Mao Zedong and Stalin, Joseph Stalin and Lenin, was the very enigmatic, romantic Che Guevara. Che Guevara, who completely pumped up communism in Cuba. He was a doctor and he was studying to be a surgeon, just as I'm a surgeon. And then he, of course, discontinued it and joined Fidel Castro. I mean, there are numerous examples like this of doctors who've gone ahead and made a big difference. If you look at Syria, current president of Syria is Assad. President Assad is an eye surgeon. He was trained, many of my friends trained along with President Assad in the UK. So there is a precedent already. But then we shy away from it thinking, why do we want to get down and roll our sleeves and get down and fight? But I think the minute you get past that, I don't know, I think my move into politics came almost like a calling to me. it was not, I always tell people, it's not something that I want to do. I believe it is something that I must do. I believe in horoscopes, and my horoscope always said from when I was a baby that after 60, I'll spend the last 20 years of my life in Delhi or in the seat of politics. And I don't know whether it's because of that, but I have a kind of an inexorable drawing towards
Why
politics.
BJP?
Why the BJP? Very good question, Nirmala. Very good question. Why the BJP? I have always been a very proud nationalist. I have written a few non-medical books, and one of them is called Heroes. Heroes, when the book itself is nothing but 13 heroes whom I respect and revere. Velu Nachiyar is there, Bharadiyar, Mao Chidambaram Pillai, Shivaji Maratha, Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad, that group, Surya Sen from West Bengal, people like this, and Rani Velu Nachiyar very prominently. I found that they all gave their lives, their heart, their soul for the country. It was not, Bhagat Singh didn't give for Layalpur, which is part of Pakistan now. He gave for India. Surya Sen, who died in Chittagong, he gave it for India. All of them gave it for the larger concept of the Bharata Varsha. They didn't give it for a small place. I was always a nationalist, and when I read Bharadiyar poems, I'm also a great follower of Cheppagaraman Pillai. Many people don't know, but the word Jai Hind, he's the man who actually originated that, the phrase. He was a Tamilian who was based out of Trivandrum. So my second book was called The Patriot Who Attacked Madras. He is the one who brought the Emden to attack Madras when Madras was a British centre. And my third book is called 7-Word Mantras. It's based on the 10 Tirukurals. Each 7-word mantra is a Tirukural. The 10 Tirukurals that Mr. Modi used over the last 7 years. In the process of writing all these books, I became very intimately acquainted with Shivaji Maratha for my book release, which was done by Mr. Annamalai in July 2022. Shivaji Maratha's last descendant, Velu Nachiyar's last descendant, Mao Chidambaram Pillai's grandchildren, Bharadiyar's great-grandchildren, Bhagat Singh's blood lineage, all these people came in. Of course, I got very close to Chembagaraman Pillai's family. In the process, a lot of changes happened inside me, and I began to think completely nationalistically. For me, to not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, to not say Jai Hind, is next to treason. And therefore, I liked the nationalism of the BJP. I am a staunch Hindu. I was born a Hindu, and when I am burnt, I will be burnt as a Hindu. I am proud to be a Hindu. I don't want to feel a sense of shame to say I'm a Hindu. And just as I would say Merry Christmas, or just as I would say Eid Mubarak, I want to say Happy Holi, I want to say Happy Deepavali, Deepavali Varthukal, or Pongal Varthukal. And I cannot understand how some people say, I will celebrate Pongal, but I will not celebrate Deepavali or Holi. And therefore, I move towards that. Yes, I'm a Tamilan. I always tell people I'm a Bharatiya, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Tamilan. Many people think being a Tamilan means you're not being a Hindu, you're not being an Indian. That is complete baloney.
You can have more than one face.
Look at Bharadiyar, look at Chembagaraman Pillai, look at Veerabandi Kattabomman, look at Marudu brothers. Marudu brothers, 100 plus years ago, they never said we are fighting for Dravidam. They never said we are fighting for Tamil Nadu. That declaration was called the Jambudvipa Declaration. The Sanskrit word Jambudvipa, which is nothing but the Akhanda Bharat, uncut Bharat. Marudu brothers in Sivagangai, when they could think that way, and I have followed all their exploits, I am writing about them. Anybody who believes in nationalism, I am a Tamilan, I believe in Kaniyan Pungundran, Purananuru. He wrote Yadumure Yavarum Kelir. He did not say Malayali, Kolayali, Telugu Vandi Pichipotava, Hindi Karan Marwadi. He never said that. And I believe that I would subscribe to a political party that says all of India is one. All of the Hindu nation is one. And Hindu nation does not, I repeat this, Hindu nation does not look down on Islam or Christianity. As far as we are concerned, Sarva Dharma, Sambhava, everything is same. And I want to belong to a political party which espouses what Shivaji Maratha followed, what Velu Nachiyar followed, what Marudu brothers. If you follow this, Nirmala, only one party can be, that's the BJP. And that's
But
why
hasn't BJP had this view that it's a north party, north based, and maybe recently they have been trying to outgrow that, but they're still very much northern centric, right?
they are, I would disagree with that, sister. I would say they are perceived as northern centric. I would make one more important statement that I would like our viewers to think. They are portrayed, if you ask me, there's a lot of convolution there, a lot of obfuscation. They are portrayed as being predominantly northern centric. They say they are a Brahmin party. They say they are a party of the Aryans. These Aryans who came by the Khyber Pass by a completely undocumented, undecipherable, completely false narrative. They say they are only for the upper class people. You look at the leaders that we've had. Look at Mr. Murugan, look at Mr. Annamale, look at Dr. Tamilisai. Neither of these three, the last 7 years you can look at, none of them belongs to the upper class. Yes. None of them belongs to the upper caste. They're two different things. You can be in a lower class, but you can be a multi-millionaire. Yes. None of these people, one is a doctor, one is a lawyer, and the other is an IPS officer. They are all classic middle class people, no upper class. None of these three belong to the upper caste. All sons of the soil. Mr. Annamale, like me and 2.5 crore people, is a Vedada. Mr. Murugan, Arundhadiyar. Mrs. Dr. Tamilisai, she's a Nada. Nobody is in the upper caste. No. None of them is white. They said, no, Velagara Mari Orma. All of them are dark. I always feel I am dark. They're all as dark as me, if not darker. So, the exact thing is, this BJP has been showing people, look, we are not an upper caste party. But locally, the only way they can hit the center is by going on with this false narrative from those times. I'll tell you one thing. As a doctor entering politician, two things that I'm doing. One is I have reread and reread the Constitution of India. I've become a big Ambedkar fan because of that. One. Two, I'm reading Mapo Sivanyanam's books in Tamil about the entire history, political history of Tamil Nadu. Recently I was reading, in 1934, when the first time Madras presidency, the elections happened, it was Congress on one side and the Justice Party on one side. I know Justice Party was primarily founded by many of my ancestors, the Mudaliyars, who wanted a non-Brahmin movement. But though it was started by many great Mudaliyars, the Justice Party during the elections, and it's very clearly written by Mapo Sivanyanam. They said, if you vote the Congress into power, there was no BJP at that time. If you vote the Congress into power, you will have nothing but Brahmin sitting on your head. You will have Manusmriti on your head. 1934. We are in 2024 and they are throwing the same silly arguments, the same Manusmriti, the same Brahmins.
But you cannot really erase the caste or what you are, right? So that is evident, isn't it? I mean, how are you really fighting it to say, we are not looking at all that. We're just a party trying to help the nation as a whole. I don't care what one person is, what another person is.
Correct.
But when we do speak, it comes out, right? It does come out.
It comes out. I agree with you, but this is what the BJP has done to counter that. Throughout the Congress period, there has never been such a high percentage of Dalit members of parliament or Dalit BJP members or Dalit BJP MLAs as have been between 2014 and 2024. It's an almost huge skew, number one.
Okay.
Number two, there have never been, Congress kept on shouting, we are for social justice. DMK has always been saying this, ADMK has always been saying that we are for social justice. But how do you prove social justice? A lady, social justice means keeping men and women same. So give the woman the slot. Social justice means giving the Brahmin, between the Brahmin and Dalit, give them both space, give the Dalit the slot.
Yes.
For the first time, a president of India, Ram Nath Kovind, was a scheduled caste. For the first time, it was the second time after Mr. And then after Mr. Narayan, and for the first time, a Dalit, a woman, a widow at that, Mrs. Traubel, not only just a Dalit, first time somebody from the scheduled tribe, because Mr. Narayan and Mr. Kovind were both from scheduled caste. From the scheduled tribe, a woman comes in and becomes the president. What more can the BJP do to show that they believe in social justice? I'm not a fool. I've been tracking and I want to put this out. I'm not running behind BJP. If the BJP had not shown the social justice, I would not have been with them. But I have been tracking them for 3-4 years, and then I jumped in. And they have shown, similarly also when Vajpayee was there, Vajpayee is a great man, I admired his poetry as well. Abdul Kalam was kept as the president of India. Again, who kept it? BJP. So Muslims have always been shown a lot of strength in the BJP. I also want to point out to the public that the people who brought down Abdul Kalam's presidency and prevented him from becoming the president the second time were the Congress and the DMK. The DMK that claims that the BJP does nothing for Muslims. Think about it. Revisit history. From 1999 to 2004, at the end of the Vajpayee government, when the Congress came back inside, Sonia Gandhi ji almost had a resolve to knock Abdul Kalam off from the presidency. And the DMK, which stands for Tamizhargal Munnetram, Kalam Pakka Tamizhargal, Islamiyargal Munnetram, Abdul Kalam Pakka Muslim. They supported the Congress to knock it out. You fast forward from 2004 to 2023 or 2022, when Draupadi Murmu was being put as the presidential candidate. Who put her up as the presidential candidate? Was the social justice? It was the BJP. Who opposed Draupadi Murmu? Who opposed a woman from becoming the president? Who opposed a widow from becoming the president? Who opposed a scheduled tribal from becoming the president? It was the Congress and the BJP Congress and the DMK who supported Yashwant Sinha, who's a Pakka Bihari Brahmin. So on the one hand, you flout and you spout anti-Brahmin. Ivera very famously made a statement which I believe should be expunged. Said, if you look at a snake and if you look at a Brahmin, you hit the Brahmin first. And people say that, and when I say that, I'm not a Brahmin, but Brahmin blood should boil. They just smile and walk away. He said that, and then the same DMK, which came from the DK, is supporting Yashwant Sinha, a Bihari Brahmin, against a Dalit, scheduled tribe, woman who's a widow. There cannot be a greater paradigm of duplicity than this. You cannot go more to talk. If you talk in terms of George Orwell, this is called double speak. You'll say like this and you'll say like that. Classic example. Now you're asking me why I joined BJP. This is why I joined the BJP. At the state level, I know most of the DMK and the ADMK leaders. As friends, we are still friends. My friendship will never change. I will never resort to calling names or throwing mud, which seems to be the norm here. I heard somebody called Sivaji Krishnamurthy spout absolute, unadulterated, unqualified filth from that hole in his face that we call the mouth. He talked the worst of words, and I want to point out to all the youngsters who are listening to this, it's not as if we don't know bad words. We know bad words in English, Telugu, Malayalam, Hindi, Urdu, in Arabic, etc., etc. 6 or 7 languages. Those fellows know only in one language. That also he is using a Hindi word, a word that's LKB word he is using, and after saying that he doesn't want to use Hindi. Public should be aware of this, sister. Public should go out and say, we will not vote for people who denigrate the very essence of politics. This is why doctors, decent people should come in. The difference between a decent man and filth, like the Sivaji Krishnamurthy, is that the decent man knows all those bad words, but will not use it. The filth will know only a small number of words, but will keep using it. And I believe that Mr. Annamalai calling for people to come into professors to come in, and I'm a professor, Professor Ramas Srinivasan is a professor. We need, Dr. Tamilisai is a doctor, we need more, look at Mrs. Vijay Tarni, she's a Supreme Court advocate, and she was Assistant Solicitor General. We need more educated and decent people to say, we are the face of Tamil Nadu politics. May not be today, maybe next year, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, perhaps never at all. But the fact that we also ran, and decent people also participated, should go to the larger public.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. So recently in Tamil Nadu, we had that drug bust, and it was a film producer, a DMK member, right, Jafar Sadiq, who was behind this whole thing. It was a synthetically created drug, right? And I think it doesn't have a smell, it doesn't have taste, and it was put into food and exported. But maybe because of your medical background, can you give us a view into how bad this really is?
Absolutely. Now this is a problem that I'm really scared about, really scared about, because as doctors, if somebody is an alcoholic, on an average, when you get an alcoholic into a de-addiction program, your success rate is about 30%. This is a broad thumb rule. With drugs, it's 10% or less. So before someone becomes a drug addict, that's the time you need to get to them and cut it and stop it. That first 2-3 months when they become addicted, number one. Number two, the drugs are divided broadly into natural drugs like ganja, classic, or second step is semi-synthetic, partly made, and then purely synthetic drugs. Third layer, this pseudoephedrine is the base, ground base from which methamphetamine is one of the highest level of synthesized drugs. So why are we worried about synthetic drugs? We are worried about synthetic drugs because these drugs are artificially created with those chemicals that will go and sit inside your brain receptors. And the more synthetic a drug is, the higher the high and the more the addiction. So if ganja may take years and years and months to years, and many people will never be addicted to ganja. But semi-synthetic drug, the addiction is much higher. And a pure synthetic drug, this drug is a killer. It's being manufactured to completely take over your brain and make you into a creature that craves for that chemical over and over again. You cannot find another example of artificially created, taking over of the brain. And doctors are helpless once you get an addict on your hands. I want to tell people, go to Punjab and see what's happening in Punjab. Many patients are just cramming the corridors of hospitals. Many surgical hospitals of my friends in Punjab are being converted into de-addiction centers. You just you stumble and knock your head. In Tamil Nadu, you'll find fertility center. Same thing in Punjab, you stumble and knock your head, you will get de-addiction center. There's no fertility centers. People are too busy getting high on drugs to bother about having children. And Punjab is in a very, very dangerous state. We do not want Tamil Nadu to become another Punjab. I feel my heart bleeds for Punjab. And I wish I could do lots about it. Given a time and place, I would like to do things for Punjab too. The problem with Punjab is they're across the border from Pakistan. And our enemies get drugs across. It's a perfect way of killing the enemy, of destroying his youth, making his youth addicts. Not only are you making the enemy's youth addicts, they are paying cash for it, and that cash is being used to fuel terrorism. And when the BJP goes against that, they say BJP is against farmers, they say BJP is against the nation. These people like Jafar Sadiq who are peddling in the drugs, I ask you, will he allow his children to take the drugs? Will he allow his family members to take the drugs? They won't. Most of you must go back and read one of the last words of Pablo Escobar, one of the greatest Colombian drug lords. The only thing he used to keep telling his son over and over again every day is, you never touch drugs, never touch drugs. It was okay that lakhs and lakhs of children all over the world could become drug addicts and die, but Pablo Escobar's son should not take drugs. This kind of cruel dual standards, that's the same kind of dual standards that people like Jafar Sadiq have been showing. So Tamil Nadu has been the center of accessing the pseudoephedrine and sending it up to Delhi, where it's being packed in containers. It was being packed and sent in shipments to New Zealand, Australia, etc.
We talked about only the export part of it, but what's really happening within the state? I mean, that part I don't think has been covered, right?
You're absolutely right. What actually pisses me off, to use that colloquial term, is it took the Australian and New Zealand police and Narcotics Bureau to inform our Narcotics Bureau to activate Interpol before it could come. And I've said this in several interviews, and people think I'm just attacking the DMK. I'm genuinely anguished. I'm upset, angry that our police, and I know the Tamil Nadu police are among the best in the country.
Yes.
I know so many of the DGPs and ADGPs over the years very personally, and I can tell you, top class officers. Indeed, I was very happy in 2022 when Mahesh Kumar Agarwal, when Police Commissioner was, I think, Shankar Jewal, and there was also an interview from Mr. Asra Garg, who is now Additional Commissioner North. They disposed, sister, 1 ton of ganja. 1,000 plus kilograms. They put it in a private incinerator and burnt it. Of course, the neighboring area must have been high for a day or two.
Or more longer.
Just joking. But they burnt it. I was very happy. So you're burning the base natural drug, but you allowed the semi-synthetic and the synthetic drug to come in. And it makes me, I'm not accusing the DMK. But I'm saying this happened under their watch. The DMK is supposed to safeguard us from 21 to 26.
Right.
The police is supposed to safeguard us. Under their watch, they've allowed a man to slip in, and he's put all sorts of photographs. He's with the DGP, he's with the CM, he's with the CM's son. Another thing that worries me is a lot of DMK people in their social media quickly took down the photographs with him. There is a statement in the Bible that says, it is only the guilty that flee when unpursued. They're not pursued, but they flee. Then you know that's a fellow who's come into the crowd. So it makes me wonder why they so quickly disconnected any photographic connection with this guy on the social media. And I think Mr. Dorimurgan came out, the law minister, and quickly said, we are expelling him from the party. All that is okay. But have you, at last they've arrested him after a big gap.
Yes.
Why have you not brought the rest of the chain?
Yes.
And under our eyes in Kallakurchi, they caught candy being stuffed in with ganja. In Thoothukudi, they've caught so much of ganja. What they did until 2022, there seems to be a lapse. I went through all the data. Brilliant work from 21 to 22. Actually, I must congratulate Mr. Stalin. BJP, he's congratulated. Good job. When somebody does a good job for our children, whichever party it is, he must clap. And they have talked to 74 lakh, Mr. Stalin talked to 74 lakh students and told them to say no to drugs. Yanakku Vendam, they started a program. What I'm saying is, what happened between 22 and 24? Why was there so much of passage of semi-synthetic drugs? Why was the Gujarat, off the coast of Gujarat, there was a shipment caught? And when I asked those guys, what I'm very angry about is, all this, that cargo had Pakistan stamps.
Yes.
For me, Pakistan is, my blood starts, temperature goes up, BP goes up, pulse goes up. I'm very frank. Pakistan shipped cargo. And they said, where is it going? It's going to Trichy. That hurt me. That means from there it's coming to Tamil Nadu. And many of these people in the social media, they say, they caught near Gujarat, so arrest Modi. Modi is the man. Ridiculous. Rubbish. They caught it offshore near Gujarat. So if they caught it near Maharashtra, you'll say arrest Maharashtra CM. If they caught it near Kerala, it's coming to Trichy. You catch the problem, find the problem in Trichy. And I believe that all these points, Kallakurchi, Thoothukudi, catching off the coast of Gujarat, catching in Delhi, 45 shipments, all these things are worrying. I talked to a number of people, and I'm going to say one last thing that is frightening me and should frighten parents. These new synthetic drugs are being made. When we were children, the drugs they used to inject themselves, 3-6 months overdose, they will die.
Okay.
These new synthetic drugs, parents must listen carefully. They are manufactured to not kill, but to keep the chap within the thrall, within the ties, within the tie, within the bonds of the drug, so that they will always be taking the drug. It will not kill them, but it causes a complete depersonalization. You will know your son talking to you, smiling, laughing. He becomes just wearing this headphones, wearing some dum electronic dance music or trance music or something. His work, a little bit of his work, he doesn't care about the life, and his drug. The drug replaces the spouse, replaces the parents, replaces the country, replaces the state. It's just he and his drug. Now this is done with the synthetic drug, and that synthetic drug is methamphetamine. And pseudoephedrine, which Jafar Sadiq of the DMK earlier, NRI wing, was shipping out, was creating this kind of drug that will just hold people in that permanently knocked out fashion. Quickly, one last thing. I am very strong against people who do violence against women. If allowed, one day I will sound my voice in parliament to say, let us give the death penalty to everybody who rapes a child. If you ask me, even for all rape, you should give death penalty. That's the only good thing about Sharia law. I lived in Dubai for 4 years, and I have seen so many heads roll in Saudi when they did a rape. That's the greatest deterrent. Recently, 10, 15 days ago, or 20 days ago, a child,
9-year-old child, yeah.
9-year-old child called Aarti in Pondicherry was
Yes.
raped by 6 guys who then gagged her and bound her and dumped her like a used popcorn rag, like a rag, like a used popcorn plastic. And there was evidence of liquor around that. See, I want to say this depersonalization, where a man becomes a beast, loses any inhibition, becomes just a beast in the jungle. Might is right, he has to get rid of his carnal impulses. That happens when that inhibition is knocked off, either by alcohol or drugs, or worse, combination of both. There is reason to suspect that alcohol and drugs both played an important part in Aarti's rape and murder. How many more Aartis are we going to have? How many more Aartis before we bring the death sentence for people who rape children? How many more Aartis before we ban drugs totally and implement the banning of drugs? There's a fabulous narcotic banned substances act of 1985, which gives 10 years minimum, 20 years for people who peddle it. Let me see Jafar Sadiq in jail for 10 years or 20 years. Don't let him out for Nehru's birthday or Gandhi's birthday or Ambedkar's birthday or Subhash Chandra Bose's birthday. Make sure that these animals, not animals, animals are nice. These guys are monsters. Yes. These monsters who kill children directly or indirectly, if you ask me, every drug peddler in Tamil Nadu, including Jafar Sadiq, is to blame for Aarti's rape and murder. And I believe that every parent must wake up. Let us not be selfish, so selfish that we only wake up when it happens to us. Let us weep for Aarti's parents. Let us boil our blood for Aarti's parents. Let us show that outrage for Aarti's parents. If it's a BJP government in Tamil Nadu, I would have yelled. If it's the DMK government, it is the DMK, I'm yelling. If it is the ADMK government, I would have yelled. If it is a Congress government, I would have yelled. This is beyond politics. It's about our children. It's about our future. Every man is working day and night for his future, for his children. And if those children are going to get raped, if those children are going to get killed, or if they're going to become drug addicts, will we be quiet? No. All parents, all children must wake up and say yes to voting, especially 18 and above, and say no to drugs.
Well said, sir. Sir, the next thing, probably this is one of the last things we'll talk for today, is in spite of everything that the Modi government is trying to do with the schemes that they have put out, there's been a lot of misinterpretation, or it's being misled by the opposition. So maybe let's probably look at the abrogation 370 case. What is it about that particular abrogation that is being misread by people, and how should we probably correct them if we can?
So this is something about which I have my heart in it. I don't speak anything unless I have my heart in it, as you would have seen. I want everybody to listen to me for 10 to 15 minutes and I will tear this apart. 370A was an article that was brought in by Jawaharlal Nehru, Sheikh Abdullah and Gopalaswamy Iyengar, who was a stooge of Jawaharlal Nehru, just to satisfy one family. When anything is done for one family, whether it is the Aquino family in Philippines or the Sheikh Abdullah family there or the Gandhi family in Delhi, this is what will happen. You know, Ambedkar objected and said you cannot give them they have their own constitution, their own flag, their own rules completely. 370A. The first man who objected to 370A, I want to tell the public an important thing, was a communist called, generally I'm against communism. This communist was called Hazrat Maulana Mohani. So why is it important? One fellow from Lucknow came and he said, no, you cannot give Kashmir special status, because he was not only just a Muslim, he was a Muslim who decided to come back from Punjab and stay in Lucknow at the time of partition. He was the great Maulana Hazrat Mohani who gave us the phrase called Inqilab Zindabad, yes, which Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev said and kissed the noose and hanged themselves, which Batukeshwar Dutt and Bhagat Singh shouted when they threw the bomb in Parliament. Even last year I went and saw that pillar in Parliament which was burnt in the place where they threw the bomb. That is Inqilab Zindabad. That is Hazrat Maulana Mohani. And I want to tell the public, Hazrat Mohani died penniless on the streets of Lucknow. As a true Muslim, as a true Indian, he said, do not give 370A. And they gave it just to satisfy Sheikh Abdullah. And then Ambedkar and Nehru added, this is a temporary clause. A temporary clause. Why should you not give 370A? That poor Kashmiri girl who at 8 is married to a 60-year-old who already has 3 wives in the name of the Sharia law that is practiced inside Kashmir and not applicable anywhere else. That is not equality. Our constitution talks about equality, fraternity and liberty. Where is the liberty for this child? The Kashmiri woman who marries somebody from Jammu or marries somebody from Delhi, and they tell her immediately, you can't inherit even one gold chain from your parents, leave everything and get out. You're thrown out because these are the laws of Kashmir. How can that be equality? When our great Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, I will tell you another story. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee objected against 370A. He objected and repeatedly wrote letters in 1950. He was a member of Nehru's cabinet. Nehru's cabinet. He resigned and said, I don't want to belong to a cabinet that treats one state different from the rest of the country. And he kept on writing letters against 370A. What did they do? He went to Kashmir to study, to talk to the local Hindus. What did they do? They arrested him. Just like they're putting this 153A and saying you're creating fighting between Hindus and Muslims. And they've arrested so many journalists and people writing in the social media in Tamil Nadu. I'm very sad to say. They arrested him and kept him in jail, and within a few days he died. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was killed in a Kashmiri prison. Did one person own up for that? No. All this happened. And Shyama Prasad Mukherjee dreamed of a time when Kashmir would be part of India. In the constitution is written, only one article in the whole thick constitution is, this is temporary, will soon be discontinued. When will it be discontinued? There's a story said that when Shanishwaran came to Vinayakar, he said tomorrow, and Shanishwaran could not catch. Just like that they're saying tomorrow, and it's not happening. And I'm very happy that our government, BJP government, got together and brought the dreams of Ambedkar, the dreams of Sardar Patel, the dreams of Shyama Prasad Mukherjee to happen. I will tell you one more thing. I want everybody to know about one slogan. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee walks to go against Article 370A, he goes into Kashmir. The local Kashmir people, they have a slogan. The slogan is, Ek Desh Mein, they're talking about Kashmir, Ek Desh Mein hai, Do Vidhan. In one country, two Vidhans means 2 constitutions. They don't want the Indian main constitution. They've already created their own constitution by Abdullah and group. Do Vidhan, Do Pradhan. They don't want even Nehru as their prime minister. They want only Sheikh Abdullah. Although Nehru gave them 370A. Ek Desh Mein, don't think I'm saying Ek Gaon Mein, Ek Kisan Raguta Tha. Ek Desh Mein, Do Vidhan, Do Pradhan, aur Do Nishan nahi chalenge. That do Nishan means our flag symbol and their flag symbol. They have their own flag. They were not even raising our Indian flag, so precious to all of us. You see the Indian flag, you feel like crying. They were not even raising the Indian flag there. And 378 told us, guys, look, now you belong formally to India. Your women will be treated like all Indian women. You cannot ill-treat them. A Kashmiri can come and buy land in Irinjalakuda or in Puliyandopu. But somebody from Puliyandopu cannot go and buy land in Kashmir. Why? Because Sheikh Abdullah said 370A. What rubbish. 370A is not against Islam. 370A is against a divided India. Divide in Sanskrit is Khand. We don't want Samarkand, Pakistan, all that we don't want. We want Akhand Bharat. No division. We want Kashmir to be with us. They are our brothers. They are our sisters. I will not let my sister down. I will not let my Kashmiri sister down.
But they should also feel the same though.
Well, I believe that most of them feel the same, and even if they do not feel the same, will you just give it away? If somebody in Northeast says, give us our own land, somebody in Seaman is shouting, give me my own Tamil Nadu, I will give it off, then there will be no India. There will always be some people. What did Abraham Lincoln say so beautifully in 1863? He said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And we have to follow the US presidents too. We cannot allow a few people who create problems. Look at the leftists. They created an anti-India corridor starting from West Bengal through Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh up to Katpadi, Jolarpet. And they used to have their own red flag there. I would request everybody to go and see the film Bastar. If you go and see the film Bastar, your blood will boil, your buttons will go and tears will come. That they used to kill people for raising the Indian tricolor. They used to kill people for the Triranga, saying you can only have the red flag. So, will we just take all of that and give it up? Okay, you go away. We cannot. One India, one nation. If you look at the American Constitution, the American Pledge of Allegiance, it says one nation under God. Americans are now okay. Tamil or Indian or Sonna, it's wrong. How can that be? We cannot allow secession. This is the country that Bharatiyar fought for, Vau Chidambaram Pillai fought for, Veerapandi Kattabomman fought for, Bhagat Singh fought for. We are not allowing this to be split either in Tamil Nadu or in Northeast or in Kashmir. And I am so happy and proud that this 370A, last point I will tell you, legal point, because I dabadified the constitution, as I say. Beautifully enacted. There is a clause called 367. That 367 basically allows you to bring amendments onto articles. So this article 370, what they've done is, first they've done an amendment to 371A, first clause. I don't have a book on these things, I have dabadified these things. And then they have said, in December 2018 itself, it came under President's rule. So when a place is under President's rule, it can be exercised. And the President has now decided, using clause 3 of 370, to disband 370A. Now immediately they put so many petitions against it, etc., saying, how can President's rule be imposed? Why? Not even once in the last 10 years of the BJP regime, not even once have they used Article 256 and imposed President's rule in any state. Whereas the Congress used it 90 plus times. Indira Gandhi herself has used it 50 plus times. So many times in Tamil Nadu, so many times in Karnataka. She used to just come in and say, Daman, government dismissed. This government has not done that. And they call it an authoritarian regime, Sarvadhigari. They have never used that. They have never killed, they have never created blasts, like thousands of blasts in the last 10 or 15 years of Congress rule until 2014. 2014 to 2024, one tiny blast in Karnataka and one tiny blast in Kolkata. Nothing else. And still they call it a peaceless authoritarian regime. All this is just jingoism. I believe that our people today are educated. Our people are reading. They know what is right, what is wrong. I always say in every speech, please go and check everything I say. Go and check that Article 367. Check that 370A. Check Hazrat Mohani. Check everything that happens so that our people are correctly informed, not a bunch of people spewing filth on the road, simply saying, Modi, go back, this go back. You asked about the North-South divide.
Yes.
Again, in 1934, 1935, Mahatma Gandhi, I will finish with this.
Sure.
Mahatma Gandhi is coming to Tamil Nadu. Why? To collect funds. Why? For the Harijans. Why? Because in 1932, a Harijan called Abbasi Patwardhan, he applied for a job in a prison. What job did he apply for in a prison? Was it to be a surgeon? No. He applied for a job to manually clean the feces of the prisoners. Basically cleaning S-IT. And that job was denied to him because he was a Dalit. So he said, I'm a Gandhian, I will fast unto death. Hearing about this, Gandhiji also fasted until death. So Gandhiji took on a fast unto death, Abbasi Patwardhan. Quickly, the prison authorities relented and gave him the job. Then Gandhi realized that there's not enough money to look after. He called them the Harijans, we now call the Dalits. And so he came to Madras, then Madras presidency, for what? To raise funds. He raised huge amounts of funds for the Dalits. And when he came, what did E.V. Ramasamy and the so-called self-respect movement do? They put posters everywhere in Madras saying, go back Gandhi, you are bringing Brahmin nation to us, you are bringing Brahmin eventualities to us, you are bringing Manusmriti to us. 1934, 2024 or 2016, Modi ji came back, same thing, go back Modi, you are bringing Manusmriti to us. They have, I believe, you asked me, I'm coming back in the end to where we began. This is why I took the BJP, because as I read, I realized that some parties are just constructed out of a political narrative. There is no strength in them. I want to be with the strong. There is no direction in these parties. Just hate whoever is in power. I want to be with people with direction. There is no principle. There is no siddhant. There is no kolge, as they say. I want this principle. I want Akhanda Bharat. I want Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. I want everybody to be with me.
And that direction has to be logical and reasonable in favor of the country.
And the people. And you said that. And that, to be honest, I could only find that direction that principle, that philosophy, that altruism in a party that espouses the very dharma which I was born into, the Hindu dharma, and that is why I'm with the BJP.
Thank you so much for your time, sir, and hope we'll get a chance to talk more about your history knowledge and all that you could share with us. It's a pleasure to hear you talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirmala. So nice. And thank you to all the Chanakya English viewers too.